Share this beauty.
Oh, wow, look at that lily.
Isn't that glorious?
Flowers. Yeah.
Just, it came to me with, oh my God, there's a third one opening.
Yeah, I see it.
Brilliant. Oh, the magic number three. It came to me with one open, and then the second one I'm just noticing opened. So I always make sure I have wild flowers. It's a fourth one. Holy cow. Did you see the fourth blossom?
I did kind of catch that on the backside, yeah.
Wow. I always make sure I have fresh flowers in my house and roses always.
Mm.
When I lived in Taiwan, there used to be this woman who, a local
The
Chinese,
rose has
had
the highest vibration of all the flowers. You probably knew that.
where, yes, 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 yes. I thought you were saying I froze at the highest vibration, and then I caught what you were saying. That's why I'm sitting here doing the moves.
I think we're doing good. I think all right. Continue.
It's one of my favorite memories. When I lived in Taiwan, this woman would come in from her garden slash rose farm, and she had these long stemmed roses that she would just bring in like an armful, and she sold us eight. She'd come to the teacher's room on every Friday, and there's a big table at the front of the teacher's room, and she put down her roses, and we could buy long stemmed 18 red roses for what amounted to, I think it was around like a couple of US dollars. I don't even remember right now at this point. It was insane.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I had them every week.
I was
And
every
sometimes I'd go to the gym after work on Fridays and I'd hand the 18 red roses to the guy working behind the counter. That was pretty funny. The first time, the look on this Chinese guy's face when it's like, because there was an energy between us, and so he thought I was like kind of giving him the roses. And I'm like, no, just hold them for me.
Yeah, handing someone flowers is that's an interesting gesture that can be interpreted any number of ways.
Yeah, Dad just came over. I was Thursday night. What is today? Friday. So Wednesday night, Dad always, I don't know if you know this, Dad every Valentine's Day would always get me a box of heart-shaped candy. Have you heard that yet?
No.
Yeah, to the point that he shipped them to me in Taiwan.
Fantastic.
I'm sure that it was our mother involved with the shipping. And with the cards, the Valentine Day cards, I'd get over in Taiwan, and it just made my heart sing with delight. And so he did not do that this year. I was on the phone with him when he was in Publix, able to get me that on Valentine's Day. Took pictures and put it in our group family text of the Valentine's Day dominance of all of the stuff being sold, and yet didn't bring me the box of chocolates. So I go for a walk with him in the nature preserve the next day, and I'm like, Dad, you forgot my Valentine's Day gift. Because he knows how much it means to me.
Yeah.
I
Oh, was he
joke.
devastated?
The look in his face was he was trying to let it go, I think, this year, and I wasn't going to let him off the hook. Maybe he was thinking he got old enough. I don't know, whatever.
He
But
he
he,
like
he
ridden that one out. It's just like once you start that with one of your kids, it's like when that's an interesting thing because I have two of those daughters. When do you uh
like, yeah, I bet you do have those because one of them's off to college, the other one's you just getting back from that race of a drive because of college. So just finishing this up, I think maybe he was like, okay, I'm going into my 86th year. Not that I've been alive all those years, obviously. Maybe he thought like he could get away with it. So he brought it in Wednesday night without a card. He looked, and I was in the middle of giving my Chinese New Year live Zoom on video. So
okay.
it was a really great energy. Dad came to the outside of the window and he like showed me the box, the pink box of heart-shaped chocolates, and he put it down. And I got up and brought everybody on the Zoom and had Dad wave hi. And then he looked at me,
Oh,
he's like, "But there were no cards." Yeah, and people were commenting the next day about how much that contributed to the experience. It was super fun because we were doing something around receiving, and then here I am like getting surprised by my dad and receiving a pink box of heart-shaped chocolates that are strawberry cream truffles that I gave Ganesha, my Ganesha statue one.
mm,
Could be, but he got me the best quality chocolates yet. He got me Lindt truffles, and he usually used to get ones that I would tend to give to not me eating them. Let's just say that,
mhm.
because they were like drugstore kind of typical assortment of chocolates.
Yeah. Like the artificial flavors and colors and stuff like that. That
Yes, and I'd give them away to young growing boys.
That's a
Friends with young growing boys.
yeah, I think that their systems can handle that a little. They can kind of those can I'm not sure what we're talking about here today, but something did occur to me while you were just telling that story about dad. Um, because like you said, he's in his 80s. And so interacting with and there's and I do know some others people so he's retired, he's been retired for a while, obviously he's in his 80s, but I have had some encounters, some working with people who are retired from they've gone through I don't know a
Excuse me,
regular
but there's probably quite a few of them listening to this.
yeah no I know well I guess so they've gone through. So the folks I'm referring to, who I've been interacting with, they've gone through what would be otherwise kind of a typical career, right? And maybe some have families, some not. But it's interesting as I think about interacting with folks who are like actively doing, I don't want to say a 9 to 5, but they're actively engaged in some degree of money making work that's engaging them on a Monday to Friday or on some sort of regular basis. And then I'm just wondering about, because you and I talk a lot about energy and energetics, personal energy. You started off talking about a kind of a more collective energy. Um,
No, not collective, astrological.
that one, right? Yeah, I love how you always correct my jargon.
The vibrational backdrop we live in, man.
Yeah, no, and I'm pleased by me. Words do matter. We've talked about that as well. So I do like to get the words right because things can get mushy out there in spiritual circles. So I appreciate the corrections, honestly. Um, and so,
Good thing you do.
yeah, right. I don't know. You can't, it's really hard to offend me. It's really hard to like, like if you can correct me. I'm happy to be wrong. But where I'm going
Likewise.
with this is just what it's like to, because so that person who's actively doing things and actively involved with daily life, maybe like someone in their 30s I've been interacting a bit with some folks who are in their 30s and they're raising young kids. Um, and then someone like dad who is retired and has been retired, he's a senior. What they wake up, what he wakes up and has time to do, um, if you're in that place where you are retired and you have you're comfortable in that retirement, what that brings to an interaction, what that brings to a conversation, maybe what we have to, if we were to, so I'll take it here. If we were to sit down and practice and do a meditation practice where our goal is to enter into some degree of quiet and stillness within, just the difference between potentially, and I'm asking here, getting curious about the difference between someone who woke up, squeezed in whatever kind of practice they might have, or maybe they're not having anything, to before they got the kids off to school and then they got themselves off to work, had their day, kind of reversed that whole thing in the evening. And then they wake up the next morning and we're sitting down versus someone who has a slightly different rhythm in their life. And I'll just use someone who's retired as an example, where like dad, for example, I mean, he has time that he can set aside and move through in a what I was is what it is a different way. It's a different stage of life. It's a different way of being. So I get curious about how those two people present at the beginning. Does that
At the
question make any
beginning of
sense?
what?
I don't know if we were to sit down and say,
Oh, in like one of your meditation classes?
that's a good example. It could be that, or it could just be a conversation. Like you're hopping on a Zoom call to talk to someone, and maybe there's going to be a healing session, or there's going to be a
Whatever. Yeah.
spiritual coaching session or something along those lines. But what that brings and energetically, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, didn't I start one of our recent conversations with the excitement that I had just had an 81-year-old join my mastermind.
Yep.
And one of the most poignant sentences she said to me on the call we were on as we were exploring the possibility of, as she completed Magic Manifestation and Money Flow, and its 10th year birthday was celebrating right now, by the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a long time to have a signature program around for 10 years. As she was coming out of that, and we're on the exploratory call, which I don't give to everybody finishing the program, just people I can sense are wanting more, about her coming into the mastermind, she said this sentence of, I'm retired and I'm bored and I want purpose. 81.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a client as old as 92 who wasn't with me for health concerns, was with me more for spirituality. So spiritual growth. So I'm thinking about, I mean, in my desire to just respond, free flow, Alan, our older brother, is now retired. Both he and Heidi are. The dude says he's busier now than he was when he's employed. So, yeah, but part of that includes him having 2 meditation sessions a day now,
Okay.
which, and Heidi goes on about, like, they both, I think that they're kind of competitive with, like, how long did you meditate today?
Pretty good to that. Like an accountability friend sort of thing.
No, it seems a bit beyond the accountability friendliness, David. It seems like it's more the competition.
Right.
And I'm like, last time I was visiting with him, like, dude, why are you meditating for an hour at a time? And the answer seemed to be kind of that she was retired, she could. So I'm not a fan of those extended periods of time, because I feel like where you end up going is not. I'm not going to go down that road. I'm just not a fan of the hour-long meditation as a regular practice.
Who I am. As you said to me a few chats ago, I disagree. But it's to each our own. We're walking our own paths there. But we.
So I guess my question, though, my answer to your question is, I feel in a way. And I'm going to do the disagree thing here. It's not disagreeing, David. It's just giving you my perspective on it, like you asked for. So I don't think it's disagreeing, but I wonder if you're having some arbitrary division between, like, retired people versus active people, like you've been living in the household, parenting girls and working and husbanding.
Yeah, that's the curiosity I was posing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was not making a point of any kind. Just getting curious about.
So I brought up the 2 different contrasts because a retired person at 81 is saying she's bored and needs purpose. Alan's saying he's so busy. There's 2 different contrasting people. And then a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old or a 60-year-old hungry for activity in life, along with their job and family raising, or if they're not family raising and if they're working from home, or if they're a multimillionaire and don't have to work at all. Like, there's all sorts of people on the planet nowadays. So I don't, that's where I'm coming from. Digital nomads,
Well, yeah, the
house sitters.
But the idea, you bring up something really interesting about what your wonderful 81-year-old client brought up. Just that word, bored, because I think that's something that we're just seeing a lot more of now, wonderfully.
Are you serious?
No, not that. Well, where I'm going is not waiting, not waiting until I no longer have all of these responsibilities to start getting curious about my inner spirituality and not necessarily waiting until we talked before, waiting until something, until you, like, reach a point where we have to do something, but actually.
Celebration.
Really? Wow.
Totally celebrating what you're just saying right now. It's beautiful. It's brilliant. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, indeed, right? Because then, well, I mean, there's a couple. There's on one side of this, there is so much more available and going on when we look within, as opposed to having our entire life focused out there, our entire life focused on our kids, our work, our hobbies, our vacations, all of those things. And recognition that none of that stuff is, I'll use the word fulfilling, but we really try and fill our lives with lots of things,
Yeah, we do.
and then when we realize that ultimately that this is my experience, ultimately, I mean, you can get to a point where you realize that none of those things are it, and you start to get some curiosity and do some exploration within, and realize, oh, there's a potential here. There's something here. And then there's also that the other side that I was going to bring up on there was just the I won't be able to quote it, so I won't, but it did come somewhere from, and I don't know if it was in Autobiography of a Yogi or if it was another talk or teaching from Paramahansa Yogananda or potentially his guru
I think
about,
it's okay. Why don't you go ahead with the quote?
no, no,
You're
I'm
so
not,
good with this. You're
because
such a good
it's
student.
not because it's not a perfect quote, but what the teaching is that, like, if you wait until you have nothing else to do to fill your time, to start looking within, to developing a spiritual practice, a meditation practice, I mean, there is something to be gained from saying, from turning away from all of those potential things that are pulling on us to to give it my attention, to say no, I'm not going to do any of those things, at least not right now. Right now, I'm going to choose this. I'm going to choose this practice. I'm going to prioritize this and make this the
Prioritizes, yes.
bookmarks on the top and bottom of my day, the pole star of my life, if you will. I'm going to choose this, and then let those other things fall in where they may around it. And I there's a profound teaching there.
Totally. I've seen you do that.
Oh.
Exactly that implementation. I find it really juicy what you're saying right now because I know that I came back from Asia with my dissertation, now my first book, to get published with my mission of, if people in the West only understood that there is a science behind the subtle energy system in consciousness
Mhm.
and valued it, there would be so much more thriving and so much less suffering in the West. And what you're just talking about is the valuing of it. And the simple truth that today, being the Great Reset, we just have entered into times where it's going to become increasingly clear for people who need that increased clarity that it is the non-physical, the metaphysical, or the spiritual, that creates the material. So of course you would spend time in the source of creation, when we are also, one of the other things coming up now is that we're going to see how much more we're creating our reality. So of course you want to spend time in that from which you're creating your life experience from. So it's like a reversal. I had such a breakthrough last night when I was looking at something to work with, from the people attending the Chinese New Year Fire Horse activating portal that have been with me all week with live Zooms every day. And there was something I was looking at with co-creation, and there was something I experienced in the last 72 hours during this week as we were heading into today's energetics, that was more about like a closer to my body physicalization of when I'm focusing on what I desire to co-create, what I intuit also that wants to get co-created through me. So both of those at the same time, to have the target closer to my physical body, to have it. I'm not going to go into it any further than that, other than I discovered that in the last 10, 14 years since 2012 that we've been in this 20-year window, it has been more focused on people elevating their consciousness so that we can have the hope to birth a new era. all the protests, all of the different movements, all of the toppling of the top, where there's been abuses of power, all of the spiritual revolution that's been happening with the increase in yoga classes, meditation apps, etc. Now here we are in that world that we have been looking to co-create, to have manifest, to be living in the golden new era. And we're here now at the very precipice of it. And of course, I'm, on the cutting edge of it. And so I'm understanding it's different tools that are required and that are going to be able to be played with in this time now, different than what we've been experiencing for the last 14 years. So we're totally ahead of the curve. You are, having your spiritual practices and being able to having the valuing that you do of your inner world, and now the increasing self mastery over yourself, so that it's going to be easier as we go along. There's changing universal laws. I mean, this is reckoned to be similar to, like I said last time, the Neolithic Revolution, when we stopped being nomads, hunters and gatherers, and went into agrarian-based communities. There is the same level of revolution that the astrological alignment that came in today is bringing in. So, I mean, I'm smelling it, I'm sensing it, I'm seeing it affect my thoughts and creation. So, yeah, get ready for change, mate. And yummy change, too, especially because you're ahead of the curve for having done all the work you've done.
I think that you just use, I mean, you use that everything that you just said had the underlying tone of change. Yeah, in one way or another. That, which is what I just felt like I wanted to grab onto, which is because a few chats ago you said something just referring to yourself about how you are you're to paraphrase you, you're most uncomfortable when you're not growing. That's what you like your comfort zone is like your discomfort zone, sort of thing. And so that sort of the extent to which it's like if you're not already at the place where we're recognizing that change is life, that life is change, that holding on to anything as this must always be the same does nothing but hold us back and causes us to suffer, because that's not the way the world works. And it just seems that the extent to which we embrace change as a constant in in our outer world and within as we grow, the more, to use one of your words, thriving is possible as everything is changing as you're describing. Because I'm thinking about the alternative. I'm thinking about if we're holding on tightly to what was or what needs to be true in order for me to feel happy or safe or secure,
Yep.
then that's just gonna rattle us. And it just seems like, again, another one of your word, like what else is possible? What else is possible is, yeah, is the thriving in the face of, oh, things are changing, and how exciting that is, and how can I ride, and how can I ride this wave, and
Yeah, there's a friendliness to it. There is
yeah,
a friendliness to it. This change, it's our natural innate state of our ego minds is to resist change, to push it away, because its job is to keep us safe in the face of the unknown. So that's pretty firmly established in the masses by now. But what I'm getting at is, even with that innate programming, the functioning of our innate hardwiring, this change is not to be resisted. It's favorable. Like, there's a kindness to it. Like, part of what I started to go into about what I'm perceiving differently about the possibilities with co-creation now. That's what I was talking about when I said I was getting this sense of come closer to your body when you're focusing on your desires. And I'm just going to leave it there because it's a little bit complex, and this is not the time for me to like rush into it because I'm not ready to talk about it really yet.
sure.
but there's a newness to the co-creation. I don't want to repeat myself with what I just said. If you think of the flowers, the lilies that I showed you that have two new blossoms and two that are currently blossoming, one of my favorite Taoist principles, behind all of traditional Chinese medicine and the yin yang and
Hmm.
acupuncture, be like nature's way. So you could be like the oak, whose medicine is strong strength, sturdiness, and breaks in the hurricane wind, or you
Hmm.
can be like the bamboo that knows how to flow with the wind, right? And so that's not like that earth shattering. People get that by now. On top of all of that, all of these pithy little sayings of wisdom about going with change, this change is friendly. There is a friendliness like Einstein, my favorite quote by him is the most important choice a human being can make is whether they believe the universe is hostile or friendly. It's going to be really helpful for the embracing of this change is all happening to help us get to a better place.
I don't, that's just so incredibly important to remember every moment of every day, right now. I think there's a lot, we talked about this before. There's a lot coming at us these days. But if we can, I love the way you frame that. I I want to finish us off. Can I just tell you one little story from yesterday?
Please. Yes, I've wanted one, but I didn't know if it was appropriate on this time.
No, it's okay. But well, because it's not about, the overall, like Charlotte and what we were up to. It was just that, well, it does involve Charlotte because I was driving out really early in the morning and I was trying to figure something out. I wasn't driving. And I was trying to figure something out for the trip. And,
Right?
Charlotte said, Dad, look up and look left. And this most incredible dawn pink sky was just sending us on our way
Oh,
on this long day. And just taking a moment to not just appreciate the beauty of it, but really feel a lot of what you were just describing, just feel
yes.
that support. Just take a moment to not just notice it, but really feel like, oh, thank you. Here we go. Let's do this together.
So grateful you're
Not
saying
just,
this.
those of us in the car, but let's just do this together. And that's how the day
Yes.
started. And then there's all kinds of stuff that happened, during the day. And on the way home, we've been driving for a long time. And I was doing this very last leg and it was nighttime. And for some reason, the sky refused to go completely dark. For some reason, I just kept seeing ahead of me this light. And it was just that, and it's not summertime, it's wintertime. For some reason, there's these low-lying clouds were just light. So it's so easy to be outside at night and see. I mean, I've been outside plenty of times. We all have when it's pitch dark and you see stars. But it was just none of that. It was late at night and there was
Wow.
just a light and it always seemed to be in front of me. Just as, on the tail end, it was like started out one way, came back the other way. So it was just like started the day with gratitude,
Wow, how
ended the day with thank you,
sacred.
because we're almost home just about there. And it's sacred. Yeah. Just, I don't know. And how much of that's a good question, leaving is how many moments a day can we spend feeling sacred, feeling the sacred, being in touch.
Connected to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we got to go.
Oh, namaste to that, and so it is. So maybe.
Indeed. Thank you, big sister. I love you very much.
I love you too very much, David Matthew.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.